Hi, traders. Last Wednesday, I left you with a trade call buying cable 2144 that was in here. And there was maybe about a 30 pip drawdown. My targets were 123. So if you're in the room, you saw I took, 60 pips and then blew out the rest up here. So we got to 70 and I just pitched it because it was a short-term trade. And let's talk about what's happening now. We're really getting close to some important fib levels in euro. On the weekly, you could see we're at within about 100 pips of a 50% correction of this whole advance, coming in around 104.05. And that's, one or two bad days to the downside here. And I think that there will be some type of tradable rally. I'm not sure it'll be the final low. Long term, way up here, I was talking about 102, right? So we're almost there. I think there'll be just a guess, that we put in some kind of trading low at 104, 103.5, something like that, and they get one more rally and then finish off the decline. Maybe we are going to get 78.6 since this was such a deep pullback. And look at how it trended. How many markets do you find candles all red for? It's a record. I think the prior record was 8 weeks in a row. Opposite and the dollar on the weekly, all these blue candles. So if you're looking for trending markets, currencies have always had that reputation, even when they were just traded on the IMM before it became a retail cash market to trade. So something to consider when there's an array of instruments that you can be trading here. Looking at US dollar yen, relentless as well. There is divergence again here on the 4 hour. You see we're making new highs up here and it's pretty glaring, so I'm trying it. Again, I think that Friday, now that we haven't had a government shutdown, we'll get the NFP numbers. Could be the key day to seal this next correction in the dollar and pull back in yen and pull back in yields. I know everyone is still pretty bulled up on the 10-year. And, we're up pretty good today. We're not quite at new highs while the yen is. So, I mean, it's possible. The first level you'll know, and a lot of people are looking for it to start going parabolic here. I'm not sure about that. First level you'll know there's a problem would be back under the prior highs, the last October's highs of 434, right here. And then 409, that's huge. So, there is, if we do get a weak number, just like you had 6 months ago, people wrong-footed looking for a Fed pivot. Remember that? Looking for rates to start coming back down. They weren't expecting the October highs and 10-year yields to be taken out. Very few, was a minority. Glad to have been part of it. But now they're on the other side of the track. Now they're buying higher for lower with the Fed. And if we get a big risk off scenario, yields will come in my view. So I believe I've done my job in saving silver bulls a lot of money in the last few months. Even had a short signal up here. I wasn't expecting this as fast. And I do have a comment about the action in silver. I'm not a comment on whether you were right or wrong. If you go back in my videos months and months and months ago, I've been talking about 2050 in silver, that we'd see a 20 handle. It's starting to look more likely, and we could be there in the next 2-3 weeks. I'm sure it won't be a straight line. The dollar bounces, so will metals. But I want to comment on the size of the range and where it happened. Okay, so I've seen huge ranges like this. This was 3.5, $1.50 range that we had on Friday. Okay, so what's unusual to me is that it didn't happen at a high or at a low where you get the spike kind of key reversal price action. It happened in the middle of a range. First, the rally, we're up over $1 coming in overnight. And to me, it might be a foreshadowing. A lot of very smart people have been worried about market structure. And what they mean is liquidity. And what happens when order flow happens? Is there someone on the other side? And there was a lot of air during this. So is this a foreshadowing of what can happen in a lot of markets, including equities? Because market structure is not that sound. We got rid of market makers years ago, and the machines take over. So just something to keep an eye on. It's been good to be patient, especially in the miners. Miners started to hold up a little better, but they're headed towards areas where I'm going to like them. You have in the golds, you have a little bit of a divergence going on here in B2 gold, and I could see possibly a 240 print on B2 gold down here. So we're getting closer. I've been talking about 24 on the GDX, which it took out pretty good, so we could be there in a hurry. I'm looking at things like AG, which is already setting up some type of wedge. So the miners are getting closer, and they should start to not fall as hard while silver's going down and while gold's going down. Gold, I've been talking about 1800, a revisiting of the March lows for a long time. Now we're almost there. We're approaching some important weekly moving averages here at 1810. This is the weekly 200 day. We could flush a little bit under here and head towards 1780, but there could also be a rally first if the dollar peaks around that 107.20 level and we get yields coming down. If yields come down, the Pavlovian response will be to sell the dollar. But even though that may work short term, if rates are falling here, just like when they're going up here, they're also going up everywhere. They'll also fall in Europe, and maybe at a faster clip than here, where the dollar does not lose for a while its interest rate differential edge that it has. So when I came in today, I thought we'd have a sharply higher opening over the government shutdown. And we did come in last night about 14 higher, 15 higher, and have given it back. So, pretty crummy action, actually, with, it being a surprise that they were able to get something done. The happiest man in the world is not Kevin McCarthy, it's Vladimir Putin. And with no funding for Ukraine, so we've made a pretty big investment. In wars, it always costs, usually in wars, blood and treasure. And this has been costing treasure. But if we can't get munitions and military support to Iran, to Ukraine, who's going to be there to back them up? So I think it actually increases geopolitical risk with this decision, and us not being able to support Zelensky after him coming to Washington, the UN, the White House, and enough people went for this deal without the aid. So I do believe there's a generational opportunity happening here in the miners. Still be patient. If you can't help yourself, maybe you put 10-20% of what's going to be your full position in on a washout like this, knowing that you'll be early, but you have time to build a position. When it comes to the market, again, I thought that VIX would be under pressure, and VIX is actually challenging last week's high. Back over 18 wasn't something I thought we would see today after they came up with this stopgap measure. So The VIX, as long as we're holding 16, still looks okay. I know some people, bulls are looking for lows here. You know, I still think that if we do stage some type of rally up towards 4,400 to 4,420, that would be another selling opportunity and maybe a last gasp rally. The bulls will embrace this as the correction is over. I'll look at it as what stocks are performing well. You know, Amazon didn't drop 15% in 2 weeks because of fear of a government shutdown. You know what? Either did Microsoft. You know what? Either did Apple. Apple's up $1 today. So if we get rallies, especially in Amazon into Prime Day, which is next week, that's their big sale day, and people are hopeful that Amazon does well. You use that strength to get short Amazon on a rally back towards this 135.36 level, and get ready for you know, long positions in miners and metals. We're still $1 away in silver, and still, I think, $30 to $50 away in gold. But the way it's been moving, maybe we're just going to straight line there. Be careful about being long the dollar. 107.20, if you're long the dollar, watch that 50% fib level on that. And perhaps there's a sell in the dollar if there's divergence. And I think the yen will top this week. It's probably going to take till Friday and have some weakness show up in the NFP. See everyone in the room. Don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Adios.